Hi, thanks for being here. I'm Marie. In this practice today, you are going to feed yourself with your movement. And by that, I mean that movement is food, it's nutrition for the cells, and it's also medicine. It hydrates us, increases our circulation, brings the fluids into the joints, the synovial fluids, and most importantly, what we're going to be focusing on is the fascia, the connective tissue that runs throughout the whole body. And when it becomes dry, if you could imagine a dried out sponge that's been sitting out, and when you want to get it wet and you set it on water, it doesn't automatically soak up the water. You need to squeeze it. And then even then, some parts of the sponge may not get wet. So you squeeze it in a different place, in a different way. And in that way, we are going to move our body. So you can experience this for yourself immediately. So in a comfortable seated position, you could even stand if you like. Start to move your arms back and forth. And this is, you will feel it in your shoulders, but this is focusing for the arms. Where do you feel the movement? Which part of your arms, and where don't you feel it? So in order to feel in these other places where you don't feel it yet, vary your movement, explore your movement. I'm going to exaggerate just so that you can see easily. Your movements don't have to be large. However, if they are, that feels even better, and it becomes a dance of feeling. So that you want to bring greater feeling into more of your arms where you haven't yet felt them. Where have you bypassed movement? So that eventually you're going to feel all aspects, all parts of your arms have been moved. Can let your breath also be a part of this, that it helps you focus, and it's as though you're sending your breath into the movement. Have you felt all parts? Relax and feel. Get a sense of what this movement that you have, that the residual, how it feels for you. It might be warmth. You might feel an increase in your circulation, a tingling, a buzzing feeling. You might feel a little bit of ache or pain. And then you also feel areas that are not just your arms. Maybe you felt up above your arms or into your back a bit. And in this way, that's a demonstration of how the whole body is connected. So we will explore in all of our poses today. Feel free to explore and move and embody your pose completely. Come to a standing position however you would like to get there. We'll take the legs wide, reach one arm up overhead, and come off of that outside heel. Wherever your hand is in space, see if you can keep it there when you lower the heel. Come off the heel again, put your hand behind your head, and where your elbow is in space, leave it there as you lower the heel. One more time. And we'll breathe here and explore. You can explore by moving your head, your arm, even your pelvis or your knees. So you take the exploration into perhaps your whole side body, even the lower side. Don't collapse it. And breathe. Come on up. Lower that arm and feel for just a moment one side versus the other. You've been moving one side Now we'll move the other. Reach up off of that heel. Stretch yourself as you lower the heel. Inhale off of the heel, hand behind the head. Stretch through up through the elbow as you lower the heel. Off the heel, lower it one last time and stay and explore for a few breaths. Where does it feel good? Where haven't you moved, lived in? Come on up, reach up tall, and now feel both sides, a little more even perhaps. If you need to do some kind of a reset, do that as well. Now, even in a strengthening pose, which is chair pose will do, you also are feeding by the squeezing, the contracting of the muscles. So let's put the hands on the thighs, and as you sit back in your imaginary chair, push down on your thighs so that you can lengthen your navel from the pubic bone and lengthen the center of your chest from your navel. Your front side is engaged and it's supporting your back side. Shift your weight forward and back. Keep breathing. Now leave your weight back on your feet towards the heels. Take your feet where they give you the best support, knees over feet. Now feel free to leave your hands on the legs or take them up shoulder width or wider. And we'll stay here in this squeezing, this contraction of the leg muscles. Can you feel which ones are working more? They might be doing more than their fair share, in other words. You might be overusing some parts of you, underusing others, underutilizing. So see if you can disperse the effort, make it a group effort of your lower body as well as your upper body. And breathe here. In this squeezing contraction phase, there is work being done, and also the blood flow is being squeezed out a bit. When we come out of this, that is the soaking phase where the fresh fluid comes in. Take a few more breaths. Come up and feel the fresh flow and the relief. We'll come into a brief forward bend. Make it your forward bend that's right for you. In other words, if you need to bend your knees, try not to bend your spine, however. And come on up. We'll come into triangle pose. So the feet are wide. I'm turning out my left foot. Right foot also turns a little bit to the left as well. When you come into the side bend, keep both sides of your rib cage the same length. Try not to do the banana shape. And only go as far as your body tells you it's comfortable going. Come up to your edge, in other words, challenge yourself. If we don't challenge ourselves, we don't grow, but appropriate challenge is something that only you know what that is. Now we're going to explore here. If your toes are gripping, spread them apart. No tension in the feet, in the toes. And exploration can be with your arm. It can be with your spine and rib cage going downwards or upwards. It could be bending one knee and then the other, moving your head. If you want to challenge your strength, don't support your upper body with your lower hand. You can press the back of your hand against your inner calf. Widen across the shoulders. To come up, you can simply press your feet and legs and come up, or to protect your lower hip joint, you might bend your knee and help yourself up. We'll switch sides, turning out the right foot, turning the left foot a little bit to the right as well. Keeping your spine straight as you come into this. Make this your pose and explore. Breathe, send your breath into the tissues. Where perhaps could you feel a little more? Where could you enter into? If we always move in the same patterns of movement, then our posture doesn't change. Einstein says the measure of intelligence is the ability to change. So feel free to change your familiar postures into different ones. Coming up, we turn out the left leg again and bend that left knee. We want to track it over the foot, in line with the foot. And if you want to bend more, the knee doesn't go past the ankle or past the arch, so you need to take your feet further apart. As well, don't let the knee roll in or the foot roll in. Keep it back over the little toe. We're going to do reverse second warrior. So you're going to reach up over to the right and breathe here. Explore a little bit, small movements. When you come up, we'll take the spine into a 45, either hand or forearm to the knee. With your arm, you can hydrate the tissues of your back, your rib cage, your whole side, your neck, arm, shoulders, even your hip. Imagine a helping hand bringing you up to second warrior and rise up from here. Switch sides, so right knee goes out and you bend that knee, tracking it over the foot. Explore just a little bit here in the hip so that you see that you have the right stance for you to be in a vertical spine, and lengthen your spine as you reach over towards the left, away from that knee. We're freeing the tight places, opening restrictions, and moving out of old patterns. Those dried tissues that maybe haven't been moved, when we move them, then they crackle a little bit, they soften, and then they become more pliable. And actually, fluid goes into them, life fluid, water, hormones through the body, blood through the circulation. Come on up, come into a 45 or thereabouts. Explore here. So not only might you feel this on this upper side here, but you're definitely probably going to feel it as well on the underside around the hip and the thigh. You might tuck your tailbone under a bit and explore that way with the pelvis, through the pelvis. Take another breath. Reach the arm shoulder height and pull yourself back up to second. Rising up, turning both feet forward and coming into a wide-legged forward bend, prasarita. In this forward bend, you're also going to explore, so you might like to stay up on your knees. You can put your hands on a block or on a chair or something else in front of you, or the hands can come to the floor. Now, if you move side to side, you're going to move into other tissues, all the way down to the foot and the ankle even. Now, when you bend both knees, you move into the tissues of the low back, around the hips and the thighs. Very helpful here for helping to free the hips. When you straighten the legs, trying to keep your spine straight, then you are moving up into the backs of the legs, behind the knees, the thighs, and the calves. And then if you like to take a different hand position, for example, interlacing your hands behind your back, then you can move up into your shoulders, into your rib cage. There's any number of ways to be here, and you can just let your body explore and play with it. We'll make our way up with the straight spine, either bent knees or straight, and bring your feet together. Now we'll do a hip opener, and this one you might need to be next to a wall or something that you can hold on to. So if you cross one foot, I'm going to cross my right foot over my left and bend the knee. Turn the right knee out. So it's at makes a number 4, a 45 here. And then you pick the ankle up and put it over on top of the knee. The standing leg is bent. When you bend it, the more you bend it, the more you are stretching the outside of your right thigh. Now when you bend forward, it's your pelvis that comes forward. The navel lifts away from the pelvis, the pelvic bone, pubic bone, and then the center of the chest lifts away from the navel. Your hands might come one to the foot, one to the knee. Maybe your elbows come. And if this feels, or you could be on a chair here. If this feels good, you could bring your hands to the floor or to a block. To come out of this, you can bend your knee and stand up on one foot, or you can lower the foot and then come up to stand. Let's do the other side. So crossing the foot over, left foot over, turn the left leg out, and then bring the ankle up on top of the knee. Bring your pelvis forward, and the spine comes along with it. They are a unit. Pelvis, spine, shoulders, and head are one unit. You could even back up to a wall and just have your rear end resting against the wall for balance, like this. And if you like to come into a deeper forward bend, do so. And then come on up. Reach up tall. And feel your body. Where have you moved? Probably just about everything at this point, I would say. But maybe not equally. We're going to come down to the floor. So let's come down through a face down dog. So your fingers are spread wide apart. Step back. Feel free to stay in your down dog for several breaths and do an exploration, a variation of lifting one leg, bending the knee, opening the hip, and also feel free to come down to child's pose onto your knees if you're ready for that already. We will all end up in the child's pose. On your knees, the forearms, forehead coming down, hips towards heels. And if they don't want to come all the way, let them stay in the air. Now we can explore in child's pose. It's a great pose to explore in. So walk your hands over to the left and breathe here. Walk your hands over to the right. Forehead comes down. Breathe into the new stretch. Center yourself and explore with a different arm position, perhaps by your feet, behind your back. The further you reach your arms in front of you, even the more you move into your shoulders. We need different things at different times. Give yourself that option. Place your hands by your knees. Come on up. Sitting for a moment on the heels, and if that's not comfortable, you can be up on your knees. 2 or 3 times. This is going to be a movement, a support of the core as we fold forward and then press up. Use your core muscles. If you are sitting on your heels, rise off of them just a little bit so that you are not resting on your laurels. When you come up, use your core to bring you up. And we'll do this one more time. Exhale forward. Inhale up. And now sit with your feet in front of you. And we're going to have the left knee bent, the right foot in front of the left foot, so that you can either hold and you put your foot as close to your body as you're comfortable. If this is very uncomfortable here, then you would want to sit up and raise yourself up. And this makes it a lot easier, sometimes even 2 blankets. So your foot is as close to you as it can be. If you are uncomfortable holding in front of the knee, the shin, then hold behind the thigh. This is so that we can bring the pelvis forward and straighten the spine, as well as lengthen the neck, relax the shoulders. Shoulder blades are actively pressing against the back here. Now we'll extend the right leg, and so we have to move this leg out a little bit, the left leg, so that it's inside the thigh. Now I have got this is a tie, so you can be resourceful at home and just use what you have. This goes across, if you're going to use a belt, it goes across the bones, the metatarsals of the big toe and the little toe, so you're not impinging on your toes at all. The leg extends as much as you're comfortable. If you have really tight hamstrings, then I suggest resting a block or a blanket or a rolled up towel underneath that thigh. We come forward, breathe into the stretch, explore a little bit, twisting side to side, letting your spine round forward, and then imagining that you're doing a back bend. Come on up. And now we're going to open the left knee a little bit more so that we have the thighs are symmetrical. The asymmetry begins at the lower leg. Lower leg is folded on the left side. And we're going to turn towards the bent knee. And then take your shoulder, your ear towards the right leg. This is a wonderful and challenging stretch. Explore here by moving the arm, the head, the spine, and breathing into the new places as you find them. You're becoming more and more embodied in yourself. There might be places that have been ignored or overlooked. Sometimes it's due to an injury. We're protecting and we're compensating and giving that area a complete rest, even when it may not be appropriate. And sometimes it's due to emotions. We might hold ourselves unconsciously due to our feelings in a certain way. Come on up and cross at the one foot in front of the other, so we're not really crossed at the ankles. Both feet are on the floor. And for about 3 breaths, we'll come forward here, explore here. You might move your rib cage side to side. Come on up, and we'll switch sides. So right knee is bent. Well, they're both bent, but the left foot is in front of the right knee. And we want to lengthen the spine. Try to get the front and the back sides the same length here. Now coming into our forward bend, I'm actually going to have, there's 2 ways to do this. Well, the leg would be parallel, but you could also open it more out to the side if you like and face it. They're very similar to each other, but you get a little bit more stretch when the leg, the left leg comes out to the side. So rather than just going into the pose and staying there and breathing, unless that's very satisfying for you, see if you can move into a new place, a new tissue. Come on up. Turn and face your knee, the right knee, and come over to the left. Explore here using your arm to help you explore, or your head, or your rib cage. Come on up. Let both knees be bent, one foot in front of the other, left foot this time, and come forward. You might be resting on your elbows, maybe even a block for elbows, a block for forehead, moving a little side to side. Come on up. We will now come onto our backs, and you bring your knees up to you. Hugging your knees, rock side to side. Lower your feet. Press the feet so you can move your hips over to the right. Pick up your knees and move them over to the left. You want to be in a position here that allows you to let go. So that might mean that you need to put something between the knees or underneath the knees. And I'll tell you one thing that I love is to put a blanket behind my back. And then my back rests against that. You might even put a blanket underneath your arm, or a block underneath that back arm. Now is the process of letting go and letting gravity and your position and your body weight move you very subtly into this very satisfying twist. Every breath is an internal massage. Where do you feel that? When you breathe out, let go of holding, unnecessary holding. On the inhale, come onto your back, feet down. Press your feet to move your hips over to the left. Pick up your knees and move them over to the right. Support yourself as needed so that you can let go and be stretched in this twist. Be twisted. It's good. Becoming more free with every breath. Take a few more breaths here. It's Alan Watts who said, when a man or a woman, I would add, feels free to be all of himself or herself, there is magic in every littlest act and thought. Allow yourself to become more free. And to come out of this now, you're going to roll onto your back. Hug your knees up to you and take about 3 or 4 breaths to do some kind of a stretch, something that feels good to bring you into your shavasana, your relaxation posture. To come into shavasana, you might prefer to keep your knees bent to support your back, or to put a blanket underneath your calves to support your back. Otherwise, you straighten one leg and then the other. Now press your head and slide your shoulders down away from the ears. Palms are facing upwards. Your chin, you gently draw it towards your throat and move your head a bit left and right. See if a blanket under your head or neck would support you for further, deeper relaxation. In Shavasana, this is your pose of letting go. Feel the breath come in and go out. Imagine that the breath is like the tide. It washes in, it washes out. The breath, every tide, every wash of the breath leaves you more refreshed, a little cleaner inside, a little more spacious and expansive. Every breath out, when the tide goes out, it takes with it soreness, unnecessary holding, tension, anything that you don't want, that was conditioned, that isn't true to your nature. May you be at peace. May your heart remain open. May you awaken to the light of your own true nature. May you be healed. May you be a source of healing for all beings. That's a Tibetan Buddhist prayer. Bask in your own being. Bask in the waves of breath washing through you, over you, and out of you. Feel free to stay as long as you like in your Shavasana. You might even like to come up and stay in the good of your practice in a meditative posture for as long as you like. As Joseph Campbell said, the privilege of a lifetime is being who you are. Thank you for joining me. Namaste.